Michael Riles riled up the day. CJ, we see you rocking 88, just like you should also come to OSU Ukpanu. If he runs like a G and he looks like a G, he should probably come get coached up by the dude coaching the OG Deuce for Heisman. Take the OV into becoming a Cowboy so we can get you to the league too.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by Game Time. Get in on the action today. Make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use a code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Get in on the ticket game today. All right, so I noticed somebody was asking about some of the other four-star individuals that could potentially make their way to Oklahoma State, or at least guys that maybe should make their way to Oklahoma State. And we're going to start it off with Michael Riles, the guy who just put out his top six, which obviously included Oklahoma State. This guy is pretty exciting. 6'4", 235 pounds, ranks as the number 24 defensive lineman in America. And he's cut it down to, obviously, Oklahoma State, Florida, Nebraska, Texas Tech, and UCF. Now, whenever you look at some of the teams that he's looking at and where it makes the most amount of sense when you're talking about a fit, this is a good fit for Oklahoma State. Now, when you look at his film, there's not necessarily an exorbitant amount, but there doesn't need to be either, because as soon as you turn on the film, you realize one thing very quickly. He is the definition of a bully. He's not even necessarily there to play football. He's there to beat people into the ground. And that is the physicality that you can't coach, right? Well, it's always said that you would rather have to reel somebody back in than try to push them to go harder. He's the guy that you're going to have to reel in constantly, like, hey, calm down, calm down. But at the same time, that's the individual that you're just waiting to let off the chain. That's the individual that can legitimately shift an entire game on its head by some of the things he can do at the defensive line position, kind of like Emmanuel Ogbah. When Emmanuel Ogbah was at Oklahoma State, you knew at some point in time in the game he was going to be a difference maker, whether it was a massive sack or a strip sack or a forced fumble or a pick. This is that guy, but he's more aggressive than Emmanuel Ogbah. He's significantly meaner than Emmanuel Ogbah. He's as mean as you want your left tackle to be, but he's bigger, stronger, and faster than most everybody else. The physicality completely revolutionized his game, and it changed the way that you needed to look at his film. So he would be a big-time four-star get to come to Oklahoma State, and out of the teams he's thinking of, right? Florida, UCF, Nebraska, O-State, A&M, Texas Tech. None of them have what Oklahoma State currently has to sell. We all think UCF is going to be a player in the Big 12, right? Nebraska, I think under Matt Rule, might figure it out at some point in time. Texas A&M, that's a shiz show, even with Mike Elko. I think Mike Elko's a good coach, but that's going to take some time to get up there. So you're competing for fifth place in most of these scenarios. You come to Oklahoma State, that is not the case. You're competing for Big 12 titles regardless of, what year it is. Oklahoma State should be solely in focus for at least a opportunity to play in the Big 12 title. And if you play in the Big 12 title, you're going to have an opportunity at CFP. Even if you don't win in the Big 12 title game, you're still going to have a shot at the CFP. So if you're wanting to do some stuff and make some things happen and make a name for yourself, Oklahoma State probably is the right ticket for you, buddy. Let's shift gears here to the other side of the ball. Well, technically not the other side of the ball, but it could be the other side of the ball. In Oklahoma's own C.J. Nixon. Now, OU is in the driver's seat for C.J., has been for quite some time. This dude is a dual athlete. He could play tight end at the next level. He could play wide receiver at the next level. A lot of the teams that are kind of in the forefront of landing his services like an OU or an Auburn or an Oklahoma State, they're all primarily going after him from the defensive end position. And this is beautiful for us because before we had Paul Randolph, for whatever reason, C.J. Nixon was not interested in Oklahoma State, right? Since Paul Randolph has come to Stillwater and kind of shifted some things, he has now become a little bit more involved, at least in conversations with Oklahoma State. Obviously, he's still going to be a pretty heavy OU lean at the moment, but if you're rocking 88, buddy, it's either because of Michael Irvin, Dez Bryant, or CeeDee Lamb. You let me know. But if you want to rock the 88 in the state of Oklahoma, to me, it makes the most amount of sense for you to emulate Dez Bryant. You could play wide receiver at this next level, but what you can do from the defensive side of the ball speaks for itself. You are a potential wrecking machine, right? 100 tackles last season, 9 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and this is from the DN. And then offensively, he's had almost 100 receptions, 1,500 yards, and almost 20 touchdowns. Now, at 6'5", 220 pounds, he's ranked as the number 126 prospect in America, according to On3. If you come to Oklahoma State, and what Paul Randolph has going at the moment with this Brian Nardo 335/425, it is different. It's going to be able to help you showcase your versatility more than anybody else. And from the Cowboy back, defensive end kind of transition thing that we were doing, as much as I do give Coach McIndoe a hard time, there was a lot of learning in that. And part of that learning is utilization of somebody's weaponry. And your utilization at Oklahoma State would probably be significantly better than the utilization at OU. It is what it is. I said what it said. All right, so let's carry on here. Oklahoma State has an argument for running back you, right? We've had this conversation. And when you go back to the greats, your Berries, your Thurnhams, your Terrys, your Tatums, then you look at the new age guys like your Chubas and your Jaylens, and then obviously what Ollie Gordon is doing at the moment. It should speak volumes to anybody. And when Jasper Parker came to Oklahoma State, from what I'd gathered, his visit went very, very well. Now, that doesn't change the fact that we're competing with teams like Florida State and Michigan and Auburn and Tennessee and Miami and Mizzou for his services. But when you look at what Oklahoma State has done, especially under Coach Wozniak at the running back position. I mean, we just listed several running backs in the NFL that are starting at this very moment. All of them were under John Wozniak. And Jaylen Warren has said multiple times that when he left as a backup at Utah State to become, an eventual starter at Oklahoma State, it's all because of Rob Glass and John Wozniak. We have the ability here to get somebody who runs kind of like Ollie, who's coming in at 6 foot, 205 pounds, just like Ollie, has the same level of recognition and ability to almost go anywhere in America, just like Ollie. But the family atmosphere at Oklahoma State is different. You already know that. You've been here. You've experienced. From a financial perspective, we've already proven this season, from an NIL stance, we can come up to the plate. And becoming a running back at Oklahoma State means something. Becoming a running back at Oklahoma State now means you get a pretty good opportunity to go to the NFL. Heck, even L.D. Brown got to make some play with the Jets for a little while, and he was virtually always a backup in Stillwater. You know that what we're doing with Sessi Vealahe is phenomenal. Take some time. Just like he came to Oklahoma State because of John Wozniak's ability to hook up with Rob Glass and take Jaylen Warren to a completely different level. He had no shot at the NFL to being a starting NFL level guy right here, right now. That is because of John Wozniak. And then you see this year, the weight load. That's going to be a telling sign as to how well we distribute the availability to hand the rock off to people when the main guy's getting ready for the NFL. We're not gonna lean on him like we did previously. And then we got to throw in an extra one here. Okay, so not a 4-star, but a consensus 3-star, Xavier Panu. Xavier Ukpano is from Denton, Guyer, Texas, J.W. Walsh's backyard. So hopefully J.W. Walsh can help get in on this guy. But once again, this is going to be part of the Paul Randolph effect. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Randolph has opened doors for us in the recruiting market that we didn't have previously at this position. And this is another situation where you're going up against USC and LSU and A&M. But Oklahoma State has something cooking. Oklahoma State has something to offer that is a little bit different. And just like I said, you may need to be a 4-star. Okay, you're a little bit underrated. That's okay. Look at Armstrong Notum, the dude who's NCAA level powerlifting already. He's only been in Stillwater for a couple months. And he was undervalued, under-recruited, underrated, undersized, under whatever you want to call it. And he is going to be an absolute wrecking machine in Stillwater. This new defense is going to be a sight to behold. It is going to be a little bit different than most everybody's ever seen before, including these recruits. And new, fun, exciting stuff is cool. This is going to be the best class of all time. Now, the secret to all of this, in my personal opinion, like somebody like Michael Riles. He's friends with the Schobels. We got Adam Schobel. We need John. We need John Schobel. Could you imagine if we got John Schobel and Michael Riles at the same time? That would be dangerous. That would be deadly. And that would be one of the best combos in the Big 12 to be up and coming for quite some time. All right. Speaking of being up and coming, ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. You also know the deal. When it comes to getting, tickets, there's so much unnecessary hooliganry that goes on along with it, right? And it makes it difficult. Take the difficulty out of it. Take the guesswork out of you buying tickets. Game Time is the authorized marketplace of the NBA, and we all know the playoffs are in hot action right now. Get tickets for the playoffs faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to tip off, and it gets even better from there. The last-minute killer deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and lowest price guarantee means you get to take the guesswork out of buying your tickets. You already know, with the lowest price guarantee, Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference. And with their zone deals, you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats for you. It's a fun way to gamble when you have a company that's preventing you from having to gamble too much. Take the guesswork out of you buying NBA tickets or any other tickets with Game Time. Download Game Time app today, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Make sure you create that account. Redeem that code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So we keep talking about Paul Randolph and his ability to help kind of open doors for us in the recruiting realm that, for whatever reason, Greg Richmond wasn't able to do. Maybe it's the 25 years. I don't know. But we'll save some of that because we're going to talk about the other side of the ball real quick. It is virtually the same as last season. So we're going to do a lot of the option route stuff. We're going to do a lot of the counters and the traps and hit a lot of 2-hole, a lot of 1-hole, 3-hole style of action, which is good. I mean, that fits all these running style. And now it's going to fit Howland's running style, the transfer coming in from Indiana as well. It'll allow Sessi Vealahe to kind of earn his stripes, right? Figure out the gears of what he's trying to accomplish here. But when you look at the running back position, knowing that everybody in the country is going to be targeting Ollie Gordon all day, every day, I'm not like injury targeting, but just they're going to game plan a large portion of their week's worth of practice to get ready for Oklahoma State, predicated upon Ollie Gordon, which is phenomenal for Alan Bowman or Garrett Rangel or Zan Flores or whoever, simply because we have a stable of wide receivers that can help us in this scenario. So if everybody's going to be keying off of the run game and everybody's going to be paying attention to Ollie Gordon, which means most teams are going to be stacking the box, you kind of have to. This is the beauty of having somebody as talented as Ollie Gordon, not to mention that we're going to have the fullback position hot and heavy again this year, helping him out, opening some holes and creating some lanes. That opens up the doors for the wide receiver room. And with the talent level that we have, we could easily have 3 1,000-yard wide receivers. I know that might sound crazy, but last season, our main man, BP, Brendan Presley, ended up with, 989 yards, right? And then Rashad Owens ended up with like 870-ish. And then we got to see glimpses of what Dejon Stribling could end up becoming, not to mention the fact that the same token goes for Talon Shetron. And then you have Lofton coming in, the Virginia Tech transfer. And then what we're seeing from Kyler Pearson is a jack of all trades, a Swiss Army knife that we could line up in a multitude of spots, whether it be in the backfield or in motion or in the slot or jet return sweeps. Gavin Freeman's in the same boat there with Dawan Lofton coming in from Virginia Tech. So what we're doing at wide receiver is going to create enough problems because of Ollie Gordon. And like I said, from the few practices I've been able to witness this season, Alan Bowman has improved in the pocket. Now, when the blitz comes and we don't pick it up, then obviously, he kind of reverts back to the crawdaddy stuff. But, that's somewhat normal. If you got somebody like Nick Martin or Justin Wright screaming, coming down your face, yeah, not all that fun. But when you look at the capabilities we're going to have at wide receiver due to the running game, and not to mention all of the starting offensive linemen, and the beauty is with the offensive line spot, you don't want this, you don't wish this, but if we did have a couple injuries, we are fine. There's not going to be a drop-off on the offensive line. Your first 8-9 guys are 100% legitimate, good to go. I mean, guys, we even got somebody like Noah McKinney that hasn't really got an opportunity to play yet. That is a gem just waiting to bust on the roster. So even the backups are going to play a major role because of preparation. It's the same concept as you got to have the best scout team because it gives you the best looks for your first team. This is Oklahoma State continuing to get deeper. And when you have Rob Glass, the best strength and conditioning coach in America, it's really all you need. Then you take the family atmosphere, the camaraderie, the community, and the way that Gundy's way bought into NIL and recruiting and everything at the moment. This is, again, the season of capitalization. It's like the wait and see approach. People have been waiting and seeing what Oklahoma State's going to do with this season. So if we capitalize, this is going to be massive. This is literally the biggest year in Oklahoma State history. It is, because we're returning 21 starters. We're returning 90% of the roster. We're returning 86% of the starting production. We've got a Heisman guy. We've got 2 quarterbacks that can dice and slice up on almost anybody. We've got another quarterback that could play running back if he wanted to and still drop some dimes. We've got a defensive line that has a new reinvigorated coach that's found ways to even help the 3-3-5, 4-2-5 stuff that Brian Nardo's trying to accomplish. And whether that be Obi Ezegbo or Colin Oliver or the Tamarick Johnson ascension is going to be very, very fun to watch. Then you have guys like Gunnar Wilson and Jonathan Agumadu coming in. This is already, second or third best class in Oklahoma State history. We just need a few more targets. And we're talking top 15 class. The top 15 recruiting class at Oklahoma State. This is part of being at the top. And if we control our own destiny at the top of the Big 12, this will be the new thing. This will be the new trend. That wait and see will no longer be a thing. People have already seen it. They're done waiting. They understand that Oklahoma State is a major player in the landscape of college football. And with realignment, people have lost opportunities out west. With further realignment, people are going to lose more opportunities out east. And Oklahoma State sits virtually right in the square mix of whatever happens. No matter what happens, and realignment, NCAA, whatever, Oklahoma State is fine. There's only like 5 schools in the Big 12 that would make that jump to the top, 50 or whatever schools. Oklahoma State's there. The recruits know that. The parents know that. Parents want some sort of consistency nowadays because you got players transferring everywhere. You got coaches going here and there and GAs here and there, and it's just crazy. So some of your most professional dudes like Aaron and Matt Schobel are very well aware that you need some continuity. If you can get development and continuity, that equals consistency. If you can consistently improve, you're going to give yourself an opportunity to go to the NFL. This is the same Oklahoma State that when I was growing up had 3 or 4 players in the NFL. Now we have 24 players, 30 players in the NFL. And whether it be defensive end, linebacker, running back, quarterback, we do have a track record now. At wide receiver, we've had a track record for a long time. Running back, had a track record for a long time. But I don't think people understood how phenomenal John Wozniak is. Just like people don't necessarily understand how a phenomenal recruiter Tim Rattay is. The fact that he can keep all of these 4-star dudes in Stillwater is absolutely mind-blowing. So, yeah, to be the same offense. But this is going to be an offense that is more reminiscent of 2011, where the objective was to take the top off of the defense, and then you let Jeremy Smith kind of do his thing, or Joe Randall, right? And Joe Randall was so good that he didn't need 30 carries, because when you're throwing for 300, 400, 500, 600 yards a game, the holes are going to be there. You just have to be able to take advantage of the holes, and this is the beauty for Ollie Gordon, just like this should be the beauty for Jasper to pay attention to as well. We're deep, we're good, we're intense, we're focused, and we are on a mission. CFP is the objective. I know every team in the country is like, well, yeah, we want to win a conference title and go to the CFP. Everybody, everywhere, every conference. But we all know that in every conference, there's only a few from every single conference that really have the ability to do that, have the talent to do that, the scheduling to do that. And there's a spot in our scheduling that is Murderer's Row, right? What is it? We have Utah, right? Followed by K-State, yeah, followed by West Virginia, yeah, followed by a trip to BYU on a Friday. This will test our mettle. And if we perform early, well, I do think that these commits, some of them will be like, okay, cool. That's the validation that I've been waiting on. That's what I needed to see. Let's rock and roll. I'm ready to do the daggone thing. All right. And part of how we could end up in the top 15 class and how we can end up improving off of last year's 122nd ranked under terrible defense, partially because of Paul Randolph. So let's talk about it. Let's also talk about making the money, honey. You can make the money, honey, with the FanDuel, right? You already know it's America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. It's winner take all moment in the NBA and the NHL. FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home the biggest W of your year. Right now, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets with any $5 winning bet. That's $150 back in your wallet, in your pocket, so you can bet on anything from money lines, player props, point spreads, overs, unders, Heisman's, NBA titles, and more by visiting FanDuel.com/lockedon. Go there now to make this playoff your best shot at capitalization as well with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Oh, but KB Paul Randolph. Now, you all know I wasn't super happy with the move of Greg Richmond. But then I also realized, like, that's a big deal for Mike Gundy to do. He doesn't like getting rid of people. He doesn't like getting rid of alumni or buddies. But I think, again, that's validation from Mike Gundy that he knows this season is massive. This season could catapult Oklahoma State into the firm top 35 no matter what, for realignment or whatever happens next. This is the solidification season for Oklahoma State. I think Mike Gundy knows that. There's an urgency here, which is why we've gone with Paul Randolph. And since we've made the transition from Paul Randolph, the defensive linemen love it. They love Greg Richmond, right? Don't get me wrong. But Paul Randolph brings a different level of excitement. He brings a different level of comfort, right? So last season, it was a lot of install, a lot of learning. I'm not saying that's an excuse for the 122nd ranked world defense, but I am saying that this season, when you return pretty much everybody and almost everybody's backup, there's not going to be that learning curve anymore. And then you have somebody inserted like Paul Randolph, who's coached in almost every system you could physically possibly think of in his 25 years of coaching, a few years as head coach, but 22 years specifically this defensive line, where he's been a recruiter of the year and he's been a defensive line coach of the year and he's been in the SEC. He's been everywhere in America. So the fact that he was able to take what Brian Nardo's doing and then add a couple wrinkles is what led Brian Nardo to say, ooh, well, if we can do this now, then we can also do this now. That's what Paul Randolph has given this defensive line. Last season was the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Dominate an AO and allow the guys behind you to do some work. This year is different. That is not the expectation anymore. The expectation now is make some moves. Get yourself a triple team. Get in the backfield. Cause some havoc. Create some chaos. We need more turnovers. We need more sacks. We need all of it. And Paul Randolph has shifted the focus for the defensive line. And I do think that he's given them more comfort in their abilities. They think they can do more. They feel like they can do more. And they have more weapons now. They're a little bit deeper. So they can go harder for longer and know that they have a hockey-style rotation, at least at the defensive tackle spots. This is exactly what we needed. It's the only move Mike Gundy made in the offseason. But everybody's believing in the product. That's why nobody's leaving in the transfer portal. That's why we haven't had any issues in recruiting this season. Last season did a lot for us. But if you go back to 2011, 2012, after that, we started falling back off. Right? Number 23 class in the country, number 25 class in the country, number 29. Then it was like number 39, then number 49, then number 61. And then we just now, I would say last year's class is underrated by the services, but this year's class is showing that there's a lot of excitement about where Oklahoma State can go. And this isn't about the here and the now. I mean, it kind of should be to some degree, right? Because the here and the now is we compete for Big 12 titles. The here and the now is we are going to give ourselves an opportunity every single year to at least have a shot at CFP. But it can be bigger than that. And I think that the recruits see that as well. There's a genuine feeling of understanding the assignment in Stillwater at the moment. From Mike Gundy to Chad Weiberg, all across the board. The NIL has gotten significantly better. What we're doing with our POs is a pretty big deal. This season, hammer the over. All right, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. You know I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. I got the finger. I got the guns up. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't, because that's okay too. Most importantly, though, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcasting people out there. The bread, the butter, the bricks, the foundation. You know what to do. Leave the reviews, hit the stars. All right, boo-boo. Later, my taters.